By the time I walked into the family mansion for the first welcome dinner, I already knew I wasn't here to play the obedient daughter-in-law. Arav's smile was polished, but I could see the hesitation in his eyes as he led me past his relatives. "Sit here, it's your place," his mother said, tone sweet, but the glance she threw at me screamed warning. I sat calmly, letting silence draw attention before I spoke. Arav leaned close, whispering, "Don't embarrass me tonight." I smiled, nodding as if I would, while secretly plotting the unraveling of every lie he'd told. The first toast began and I raised my glass slowly. "To honesty," I said lightly, letting the words linger, and I noticed a slight tightening of every jaw around the table. His father cleared his throat. "We've always been a family of tradition." I nodded, pretending agreement, while silently noting the way he avoided my eyes when he said tradition. Ananya nudged Arav, whispering something. I leaned forward just enough to catch a snippet. "Don't let her find out about last year." My smile widened imperceptibly. The dessert arrived and I complimented it. Absolutely divine, like someone put thought into it. Their polite smiles faltered. A tiny accusation hung unspoken in the air. Arav asked, "Do you like our family?" I shrugged with innocence. "I like knowing the truth about people before I judge them." The quiet was heavier than any insult. His mother attempted charm. "We've only ever wanted the best for you." I tilted my head. "Really?" I asked softly, and the slightest flinch betrayed her composure. The conversation shifted to my career. I complimented their network of influence while subtly dropping a question. "I wonder how so many people in the city came to know things they shouldn't." Silence followed. Arav tried to cover. "We just hear things." I nodded, smile polite, then casually referenced someone they had wronged years ago. Eyes widened, but I didn't flinch. The family's eldest cousin laughed nervously. "Oh, those old stories." I leaned forward, voice soft. "Stories have a way of telling themselves if you leave them alone long enough." Dinner ended, but I lingered in the living room, asking questions that seemed innocent. Each answer was a thread, and I was weaving them into a net. Arav whispered from the hall, "Stop, you're making them nervous." I smiled, pretending to apologize, knowing exactly how nervous they already were. I commented on a charity they had supported. "It's admirable. Shame some of the people you helped never got credit." Their polite smiles faltered, and whispers started. The maid brought tea, and I asked casually, "Isn't it strange how some things are always hidden?" A glance from Ananya almost gave me the answer I needed. Later in the lounge, I told Arav I'd love to see old family albums. He agreed reluctantly, and I flipped through the pages, noting every photo, every omission, every lie. "Interesting," I murmured, looking at a group photo. "Some faces are missing. I wonder why some people were erased." The room went quiet. His mother tried to change the topic. I countered gently. "I've always found that people reveal more when you let them talk themselves into a corner." Arav shifted nervously, whispering threats under his breath. I smiled openly, pretending not to hear. The family's own glances betrayed them. I invited them to a casual memory-sharing night, saying I loved hearing stories about the past. Each anecdote became a stepping stone to the truth. His father told a story about business dealings. I asked about the employees affected, and the pride in his face cracked, leaving embarrassment in its wake. Ananya tried to redirect the conversation. I paused, smiled, and asked a pointed question about her handling of a certain event. She stammered. I let her squirm. Arav's uncle laughed to ease tension. I praised him for honesty, then asked about the less discussed mistakes. Silence was louder than laughter. I pretended to misunderstand their discomfort. "Oh, I'm sure it wasn't intentional," I said softly, letting them confess more than they realized. Later, I referenced a charitable event. So many helped, yet so many went unacknowledged. That must have hurt some people. Subtle guilt flickered across faces. Arav finally snapped at me privately. "Why are you doing this?" I smiled lightly. I just like knowing the truth. His frustration was delicious. At brunch the next day, I asked casually about investments and deals. Each answer revealed who had truly been responsible for past failures. Ananya tried to text me excuses. I replied, pretending innocence. I'd love to understand your side too. And she spilled more than intended. I hosted a small dinner with a few city friends. Do you remember the charity scandal? I asked aloud. Faces turned pale as the truth slowly sank in. Arav's father tried to claim mistakes were misunderstandings. I smiled sweetly. Funny how misunderstandings leave scars on the innocent. His mother finally spoke, trying to justify actions. I nodded politely, then asked, and the people who suffered quietly, do they matter? The guilt hung like a storm. Ananya whispered, trying to defend herself. I feigned curiosity and probed, leading her to admit small misdeeds one by one. I complimented Arav's charm in deflecting blame, then mentioned an incident he thought I'd forgotten. His confidence cracked. Each story I casually retold revealed their manipulations. Family members argued softly, exposing themselves further without realizing it. I shared a small anecdote from my own past, carefully edited to highlight their wrongdoing. The discomfort in the room was palpable. Arav tried to threaten me in whispers. I smiled warmly. I'm not scared. I only care about truth. He faltered immediately. During a garden walk, I asked about employees who had been dismissed quietly. His father answered reluctantly, confirming exactly what I wanted. Arav's mother tried to intervene, but I had already framed the questions perfectly. She stumbled over her words, admitting what they'd done. I smiled and nodded, pretending to be naive. Oh, that's unfortunate, I said lightly, letting them feel the shame internally. Arav's uncle tried to shift blame, but I had already orchestrated the perfect contrast with witnesses I invited casually into the conversation. At a small family tea, I asked about their favorite charitable memories. Subtly, I compared those stories to the actions that had harmed others, and they faltered. Ananya finally admitted her own missteps publicly, in front of the whole family. I clapped softly, as if impressed by her honesty. Arav's father tried to save face, but I asked questions in a way that forced him to acknowledge his wrongdoings in the same room. I invited a few neighbors to join innocently. Casual comments from them pushed the family further into admitting truths they'd hidden for years. Arav's composure cracked completely. Why are you doing this? He demanded. I smiled. I'm just letting people tell their own stories. By the end of that night, the family was practically confessing their past mistakes without me ever raising my voice. Weeks later, people around the city knew the truth. I hadn't spread a word, yet their reputations were quietly tarnished by their own admissions. I didn't need revenge, theatrics, or confrontation. The truth had done the work for me. I walked away free, untouchable, and entirely in control, leaving them to face the consequences of their own actions.